Hey YouTube, welcome back to UniX TCG, and today we're going to be doing some prep work and discussion for CardFest Dallas if you guys are traveling there to compete in the regionals and try to score your invite for nationals. And yeah, we're going to have a great time. So let's see if we can get this bad boy over 100 likes, and if you would like to dive even deeper into the competitive side and see some of my own personal list for my top choices for CardFest, you can go in the description, join the Patreon, and it'll be there. There's a companion video to this one that goes a little deeper, and I'll be uploading lists as the week goes on. So with that being said, I also just like to let you guys know that we're doing a bunch of things in Universe X, and you can always go over in the description and check out my second channel. It's just mainly Dragon Ball oriented, and check out my review of like the final trailer for Dragon Ball Daima, my Sparking Zero content. There's gonna be another reveal trailer tomorrow, and I'm gonna break that down. And then you can also check out my Dokkan content, you know, my Legends content, things like that. So with that being said, let's hop into the content, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So looking at the past couple regionals that have come out, we have seen that essentially every color but yellow can top. And I mean, it's pretty cool. It's actually pretty cool. Lots of people find this to be a breath of fresh air coming off of the top 2 format, where it was legitimately just top 2 and then some blue decks, and then every now and then a yellow deck got into a top cut, or maybe a green deck squeaked through that was facing more Beeruses than top coup, stuff like that. However, now we are in a format where predominantly blue is dominating, followed by red, followed by green. And the reasons for this is when you look at the way the meta shapes up, green still has the most oppressive end game. However, blue has so much value via peel-off, via cards that can attack twice, such as Vegito, cards that recur, like Videl, that you're starting to get so much mileage off of your cards that you can outgrind the lower combo value of green, and generally try to push them to a point that by the time they're reaching their end game, they're kind of out of hand. And then on top of that, you have red decks that have always been the bane of green decks in terms of pushing them so hard in the early game that just to survive, green has to get rid of most of their combo value to, you know, just like do this. So both of them are trying to push green into the grave by the time that green gets to its end game. It's just that blue is going to do more work in the mid game, whereas or mid game to late game, and then fight them there, whereas red is going to do more damage in the early to mid game and then try to end them as we get to the end game. And I think that's pretty cool. Now, black is in a weird position where if you don't hinder what it's doing, it can feel extremely oppressive. You let them land 2 SCRs and you are going to regret it, because their energy economy is going to be out of control. They're going to be drawing way more cards than decks normally do, and that's going to be a problem. However, every single color, I guess even technically, if you've already swung with them, even yellow can start removing not just 1, but sometimes even 2 SCRs at a time. And that's actually pretty crazy. So now that we've arrived here, everybody's been seeing some of the ways these tournaments have laid out. So let's actually go over to Eggman Events and look at some of these breakdowns and then dive into them. First regional for set 3 that we got our hands on, you see actually a fair amount of stuff here. I gotta get rid of these ads. 2 Jiren, 2 Son Goku, 1 Vegito, 1 Android 17, 1 Beerus, 1 Bardock. Now, a couple things here. A lot of people were trying to play on Blue Goku, and they weren't quite on the train of hype that was Vegeta, and there was a misplay in the finals, and I believe the semifinals, that allowed Jiren to kind of get through to first place. Nothing against the Jiren player. He piloted against Blue very well, and everybody makes mistakes in the heat of the moment. However, something you're going to notice here is Androids has a significantly lower just like topping ratio, but with Jiren being here at this tournament, and it seems like Beerus too, the conversion rates were going to do those things. Also, you even see a Bardock here as well as a Vegeta. So you have a lot of people that were kind of pushing to potentially edge out green, while you actually had a high concentration of a new leader as well. But when you move over to the next one that happened pretty much a week later, you're actually seeing a extremely high concentration of Vegeta in the top 16, making 5 of the top 16, followed by essentially a lot of Vegeta's ops. Like, you have androids coming in with 2 of them, two Gohans, both green leaders that are going to be able to try to push blue into its most uncomfortable places. Beerus does not have the worst blue matchup because of its critical pressure in the early game and its ability to deal with blue's threats the turn after they come down. And then you have Jiren, which is a little surprising, but with green as high as it is here in concentration, and it does not surprise me that Jiren could actually nab a space as well, or two. And then you have people experimenting with the black decks, as well as Zamasu, which I don't think Zamasu is bad at all, because Zamasu actually has a pretty wild matchup when you pair it up against other blue leaders. It's really rough when you can't poke neutral and you have to climb uphill, because when your cards are focusing around having 7 in hand and you have to start expending cards to attack, plus they have all the same removal you do, you end up burning out quicker than Zamasu does, despite Zamasu not drawing. That's a huge thing. So when it comes to this, you have a couple of trends that I would like to get into. So when it comes to this, I think nobody has to be told that Vegeta is the deck to beat. Vegeta is going to be the deck to beat, and so that needs to be where a majority of your testing goes through this weekend. Now, matchup RNG is always going to be a thing, but the one thing that we can at least all agree on is that it is very unlikely that you face yellow. There might be like a hometown hero that comes with something to prove, but a vast majority of the people who are traveling out to Texas to try to win should not be sleeving yellow. So chances are, if you get more than a couple wins, you shouldn't be seeing it. Like I said, disclaimer, matchups can always be random, but that should kind of be the case. The more wins you see, the more you should be seeing of these couple of colors. Now, the thing I'm going to put here first and foremost to get out of the way is that black is definitely the rogue knight. You have to go so hard in order to, and get fairly lucky in order to win with them, because like there's always going to be a chance that you may stick double SCR against red. They just did not have the removal to stop it if they're not Beerus. If they're Jiren, yeah, if they're Jiren, you have a chance of that. If they're Beerus, it's just not. If their deck is built correctly, it's just not surviving. And then you also have green, where you can probably stick 2 SCRs towards the beginning of the game. If you hit them on curve, you can probably do it. Like if you go second and then you play on turn 2, you end up playing Goku, the SR Goku, and then on turn 3 you play SCR Goku, and on turn 4 you play SCR Goku. You could probably stick 2 and have them on the board for 1 to 2 turns minimum if your opponent does not see their 5-drop Gohan or Big Bang Energy if they are attacking it. However, against blue, it is extremely not likely, and against Beerus, it's not likely. So with that being said, a lot has to go right for a black deck to rise. So in terms of threat assessment, I'm going to say if you're playing yellow, or if you're playing blue or red, I don't think black should be that high on your threat levels. You have so many tools in either of those colors to get rid of their best pieces, and they're essentially only playing 1 card per turn, 1 relevant card per turn, unless you allow them to snowball. Green, you have to be a little crafty. You can't just play your normal green strategies and automatically mise black. You have to go out of your way, and that is why cards like Big Bang Attack and especially 5-drop Gohan have skyrocketed in popularity. Now, with Vegeta being the top dog, you may automatically think, okay, I have to play green because green counters blue. Well, at the same time, blue Vegeta has the ability to put you on a clock with its leader effect, meaning that you only have so many times where you can 1-for-1 their leader swing that they got for free, mind you, and not take the damage. And even then, once they start getting into the late game, they're always gonna have the energy to use Pilaf, Bulma, and then proceed to push you even further. So it gets very, very rough with the damage that Vegeta can put out. Now, playing a green deck also means that you have opened yourself to potentially being rushed out of the game by black, by Beerus, and even Jiren, with Jiren having the worst top end a green deck can deal with, seeing that they could put double Jiren on the board and you will never break through their combo power for the rest of the game. It's just not happening. And that is a massive issue. So playing green, you do have to be wary. While you may have a better blue matchup, you do not have a free blue matchup. And on top of that, red can easily come in and hurt you, and a black deck can high roll you. So make sure your decks are teched to do this. And one more time, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, 5-drop Gohan and Big Bang Attack are huge proprietors to you being prepared enough to take on a lot of the threats that are hurting you. Like I said, I'm going to be doing, I already have a video dropping alongside of this one, going over a more in-depth version of this video, my specific picks for Dallas, but we're also going to start putting up deck lists on there as well in order to make sure that if you're going to Dallas and you want a deeper look into it, you always can. That's what the Patreon's for. But yeah, you just need to understand that green is not the catch-all, ooh, Vegeta's good, I'm going to play green. You still need to practice your matchups, and you need to tech out for the surrounding format. Now, when it comes over to red, red definitely has the ability to press pretty hard. You have a lot of critical pressure between Caulifla, Beerus leader, and 5-drop Beerus that can now come down a whole turn earlier. And so you're going to be able to do a lot of damage versus red decks, as well as the fact that you can destroy the fields of black decks, and then all you need to do against blue is hope that their end game does not clap harder than your early to mid game, because you should be able to get a fair amount of chip damage or ruin their hand and then start pressing the chip damage as Beerus. You also have the ability to remove anything they play, so essentially they can use a card for one turn before it starts becoming, oh man, this is not gonna be on the board anymore. That being said, they do have more tools now, such as 3-drop Gohan, which can remove your threats like Caulifla's, 3-drop Gohans, and then still attack you for a chunk of your hand. And that is going to be the main thing that's turned the tide in this matchup. Now, past that, you now have Jiren as well, which Jiren, you open up your main strategy to blue in exchange for just having a much better matchup versus green and almost an auto win versus yellow. So with Beerus, I will say you have so much removal, but you don't have that auto lock green matchup, whereas versus Jiren, while you shore up the green matchup, you do have to try a lot harder versus blue. And you don't have the innate removal ceiling that Beerus does, and that's a huge problem. But circling back over to black, we do have a couple things I want to talk about if your heart is sold on playing that color and nothing else. And we'll even touch on yellow. I just wanted to get some things out of the way. But before that, let's have a quick word from our sponsor. Alright y'all, taking a quick moment to shout out the sponsors for this video. First up is Mystic TCG, a store based in Missouri that sells all sorts of TCG product, even more than what you see featured here on this page. They also buy singles, collections, and prize cards, so make sure you actually catch them out in their store in Missouri at an event, or even on their Facebook, just to be able to see the events here, but also ask them what they're up to and what they're looking for in terms of vending. You can also use the code UNIXTCG to get discounts off your pre-orders as well as orders, so make sure you get your TCG product while it's hot. Then you have Eclipse Cards and Hobby based out of Texas, and if that sounds familiar, they did sponsor me with a box of Fusion World Set 1. But as you can see on this page, there is a plethora of TCG products that they are actually having for sale at their establishment. You can also even buy things that aren't just TCG products. As you can see on the screen right here, they hold their own locals, they hold their own events, and they are going out to more and more events. You can actually check their Facebook to see their schedule, as well as call and ask about their vending list. And at the checkout for their website, you can use the code UNI10X to actually get percentages off your pre-orders or your orders. So go check it out as well. And we're always up to all sorts of things in Universe X, so you can go down the description and check the link tree to find out about my other channels, my Twitch, or any other avenues that I'm creating content on. But if you want to go the extra mile, you can always go down to any description on any video and find my Amazon affiliate links. These products here will differ from video to video to cater to the audience in question, but it's just very easy to see something that you may like or be interested in, open it up, and choose the style and or color that'll work for you. All proceeds will give kickbacks to the channel, so it'll be some direct support, and I'll always appreciate the help from you guys. So with that being said, let's get back to the video. Yeah, gotta love them. Eclipse Cards and Hobbies, as well as Mystic TCG, which just moved to a bigger, brighter location in Missouri. So check that out on their Facebook page and socials. That being said, they still have a plethora of OPO7, and they just got their second wave of OPO9. So if you guys are looking to get your cards, hunt for your manga rares, especially in OPO9, this is the place to do it, and you can use the code UNIXTCG to get a further discount. Mind you, the OPO9 is the second wave, so it will not be shipping on release, That's why it's going to be a little cheaper than the norm. Now let's get back to the video. And yeah, so when it comes to black, right, you actually do have a couple of things I just want to let people know. The biggest part about playing black, like I said in the tier list video, is not getting 2-for-1. And most decks can 2-for-1 you if you are not playing well. Like the fact of the matter that if you attack with 2 SCRs, even yellow can use Final Explosion to KO both SCRs at the same time. So if you find yourself playing against yellow as black, you do need to keep your SCR, one of them at least, untapped. Maybe even only swing with one if you only need one energy marker that turn, because the Final Explosion card cannot tap a 3 higher than a 3-drop. It can only tap 3 drops, but it can blow up 4 drops. So you have to make sure that you don't get 2-for-1. You can't really avoid sickle. That's just gonna happen. When it comes to green, they generally have to use 2 cards to blow up 2 SCRs. However, if they do tech the SCR from set 1, the Gohan 7-drop, you're getting your entire board clapped and there's nothing you can do about it. Then when it comes to red, they have to generally go through a few hoops to 2-for-1 you. Like Beerus can -10 on something and then have, I don't know, a Whis like -1 on something, and they can hit you with a Beerus and then Beerus will blow up both of them. But there's a lot of steps to that. But if they're both turned sideways, your opponent can -1 with a Gohan, swing on it with the Gohan. That's 25 to 15. It's going to require a super combo, and they can minus with the Beerus attack and then put another 10k on the Beerus, and then you're going to essentially be looking at a 20 to a 30. And so either way, they can demand 2 super combos or a chunk of your hand just to get out of it, 4 cards or so. So you got to make sure that you are ready to play around what you can play around. Otherwise, you are leading yourself to being quite handedly handled, to be honest. So yeah, if you're gonna play black, like I said, I would not advise it if you're trying to nab your top spot. But black, just because it only has a starter deck and 1 set of cards, is extremely linear and it is prone to being outed once your opponent knows how it works. And once your game lane's out in black, there's no come around from behind victory. If you have 2 SCRs on the field and they both get destroyed, generally you're not at 7 then 8 energy with your energy marker, so there's not really a chance for you to play both of them in the same turn. If you were, that's the end of your turn, and essentially you traded 2 30k swings and 2 draws at the end of the turn for that's it. You weren't making like a crazy thing. You weren't destroying bodies, things like that. So you have to be very careful, because essentially black is a momentum train that once it is derailed has a very tough time getting back on the tracks. Although Bardock SR from the starter deck is pretty savage. Being able to swing for a double strike, combo for 2 to go higher on the attack and pop something is a very, very, very strong card. Now, moving on to yellow. Like I said, I would not put this here if you're trying to win, and just putting it out there, while yellow still has a bunch of good cards and Majin Buu is one of the more problematic cards via design, the fact of the matter is, ironically, they're not cheating anything out, they are not ramping, and they are not really recycling. Everything you get about yellow is right there in your face and on the field. You've got Majin Buu who won't die. You've got Bulma who can make a lot of value if she's not destroyed. But nowadays, Giru, because of the low card pool in black, is a 4-of in most cases. In green, you don't have to run Kami, but the moment androids come down, that's getting smoked. And if a green deck did fear yellow right now, they could just play Kamis. Red has like a jillion ways to -5 something. Blue is playing Zamasus. Blue has Gohans. You're going to have those cards wiped away. And that's the weakness about yellow. They were very weak to removal, and they needed their board to accumulate to do a lot of damage. And this is not a format where your board can really accumulate. That's just it. That's literally it. It doesn't really matter which leader you play. Cooler's kind of dead in the water. Majin Buu can still play, but you're watering down your deck with the evil, Wicked Souls, and on top of the Wicked Souls taking up space in the deck, your leader isn't really doing anything too great on top of other things. Yes, it can still play off the strength of yellow, but it's not like it's pushing your defense to the maximum like Vegeta would, or it's able to, get better plays out of Bulma or keep some of your threats safer from attack via Frieza. So you're really entering a position where you can get very, very destroyed by board removal, which everybody's running right now if they can. Your late game does not compare to black or to yellow, or sorry, black or to green. One day I'll say the right things. Your late game doesn't compare to blue or green the way it does. And then on top of that, you now have an almost unwinnable matchup via Jiren. And by unwinnable, I mean they would have to not see any Jiren SRs to lose against you, because frankly, you don't have any way of clearing it. Like, if you use Final Destruction, or final explosion, you don't even blow up Jiren. You just take away his once per turn KO effect, and that was 3 energy to do so, meaning your turn is chopped in half or just flat out done. So yes, Jiren provides an almost auto loss for you. And on top of that, you don't have any auto wins anymore unless you're playing the straight Ginyu package. And if you're playing the straight Ginyu package, then you haven't changed your auto loss, and you're still going to have trouble versus red, who will tear your field to pieces in general. So Beerus and Jiren can give you lots of trouble. Androids can still contest you, and blue, the way it's currently built, will have a field day. So yes, you are currently sitting at a place where yellow is just not well positioned. If you play it, I wish you luck, and yes, it could probably still do some things, but it's just, yeah, the format has warped to a point where yellow is just not that favorable. So realistically, I do think you need to be going with red, green, or blue. And I do think that red is the underdog, mainly because blue is good against what it's good against, and so is green. But blue, when it comes to red, you have to choose a leader and understand that you are sacrificing part of a matchup to increase your chances with another matchup. And that can be disastrous. If you face Jiren and you hit blue all day at CardFest, you're not likely going to have a winning record. Whereas if you face Beerus and you face green, or you face green all day, you might actually have some games where you were doing everything you could, and then you just could not remove a singular Broly, which cascaded into a second Broly. And because you actually have to awaken to start drawing, Broly staying on the, or Broly is gonna hit and either press cards out of your hand or drop you to a 3 or 2 life, and then the second Broly could very well be lights out. So we are just sitting here looking at these dilemmas, but I do believe that 4 out of the 5 colors are viable tournament decks, with black just currently being in last place for me. So that's just pretty much that. I think that right now, without giving the full, like, you know, meat and potatoes, I think that what you're looking at here is blue being pretty locked in. I do think that I personally have a lot more fun playing Deku than Vegeta, but I can't ignore Vegeta's ability to go up plus 15 for no reason. Not to mention, like I said, late in the game, once you start peel-off looping, a peel-off into a Final Hope Slash is going to push your damage into Kingdom Come, or a peel off into a Bulma, and the Bulma adding her damage on is once again going to push that to Kingdom Come. And then it's not just about your peel offs surviving anymore, or maintaining one in hand, because later in the game you can play a singular Videl, get back peel off, and then you still have your peel off loop unbroken. So blue has more recyclable cards and value than ever, and it has a leader that just pushes insane damage, plus the removal of blue, and that makes the complete package. Like I said before, green still in a great spot. I just think that what you're looking at is Broly 8, Big Bang Attack being some very important cards. Gigantic Meteor as well, especially when it comes to the blue Vegeta matchup, because if you consider Vegeta to be a loaded gun, you can count how many times you can easily out his attack, unless they start putting more muscle behind it, which has a higher and higher chance of happening the further into the game we get. Then you have red, which I do think that red is fine. It's just it's a 50-50 all around. You don't really have, outside of Jiren, you don't really have auto wins, but like I said, Jiren opens up a worser matchup with things like blue. And then you have black, which is anybody's game against almost any color but blue. It's rather miserable versus blue, and that's kind of the gamble. You don't want to face blue all day when you could have faced green all day as black, and even if you face green all day, it may not be the move. So let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know what you guys are going to be taking for Dallas, and we'll get into some gameplay videos if I can coming up in the following week, kind of circulating around this format and going into Texas. So yeah, thank you guys for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Later.